As the plane rolled onto the tarmac at New York's Gateway International Airport, passengers witnessed a scene they'd never forget. A heated exchange erupted between a sharply dressed black woman and a flight attendant, escalating into chaos. The collective gasp from the cabin wasn't just about the argument. It came when the woman's elegant outfit tore, leaving her humiliated. What no one, least of all the flight attendant, realized was that the woman wasn't an ordinary traveler. She was Justice Naomi Harper, one of the most respected figures on the nation's Supreme Court. What unfolded next left the entire flight in stunned silence. The journey had started uneventfully. Passengers boarded with the usual mix of energy: business people juggling calls, families corralling children, and seasoned travelers relaxing into their seats. Among them was Justice Harper, unassuming despite her high-profile status. Dressed in a striking cobalt blue gown by a renowned designer and carrying a classic leather satchel, she blended in effortlessly with the first-class passengers. She was en route to New York for a major judicial conference on human rights. The tension began shortly after takeoff. Amanda Price, a blonde flight attendant in her early 30s, seemed brusque as passengers settled in. Her mood shifted from curt to openly antagonistic when she approached Naomi. "Ma'am, this isn't your seat," Amanda snapped, her eyes flicking over Naomi's attire with disdain. Naomi calmly presented her ticket. "It's my seat," she replied, her tone even and unbothered. Amanda scrutinized the ticket before handing it back with a huff. "Fine, but next time, make sure you're in the right place." Under her breath, but still audible, she muttered, "Figures it's an upgrade." Naomi chose to let the comment slide, focusing instead on her upcoming conference. Yet Amanda's hostility only intensified. When Naomi requested water, Amanda ignored her entirely, serving other passengers first. Another flight attendant noticed the behavior and quietly delivered the drink, whispering an apology for her colleague's conduct. The breaking point came halfway through the flight. Naomi stood to stretch and used the restroom when Amanda blocked her path. "Excuse me, but passengers like you shouldn't be roaming around first class," Amanda said loudly, ensuring the surrounding passengers heard. Naomi paused, her face calm but her voice firm. "I'm just heading to the restroom." Amanda sneered. "Next time, stick to coach. That's where you belong." Gasps rippled through the cabin as Naomi's calm demeanor held steady. "I'll be back in my seat momentarily." When Naomi returned, Amanda hovered near her seat with crossed arms, glaring. Spotting Naomi's designer satchel in the overhead bin, Amanda smirked. "Ma'am, we've received complaints about your luggage," she announced, raising her voice for effect. "I need to inspect it." Naomi met Amanda's gaze with quiet strength. "My bag is properly stored and meets all regulations." Amanda, unfazed, snapped, "Are you refusing to comply with the flight crew members?" "I'm not refusing anything," Naomi replied, her voice steady. "But this inspection seems unwarranted." Ignoring her, Amanda yanked the bag down forcefully. In doing so, her hand snagged the strap of Naomi's dress. The sound of tearing fabric silenced the cabin. Naomi instinctively grabbed at the torn material, attempting to cover herself as murmurs and gasps filled the air. "That's enough," Naomi said, her voice sharp and commanding. She rose to her full height, her composure unshaken despite the indignity she had just endured. Amanda's face flushed with embarrassment, but she doubled down. "You people think you can—" Naomi cut her off. "Stop right there. Do you even know who you're talking to?" Amanda rolled her eyes, dismissive. "I don't care who you are. You'll be escorted off this plane." A man a few rows away stood abruptly. "Do you even know who she is?" he exclaimed, disbelief etched on his face. Amanda turned to him, startled. "What?" "That's Justice Naomi Harper," the man continued. "She's on the Supreme Court." The cabin fell silent. Amanda's bravado crumbled as murmurs of recognition spread through the passengers. Another first-class traveler, an older woman, spoke up. "Justice Harper is one of the most prominent judges in the country." Amanda stammered, her confidence evaporating. I didn't realize." Naomi, still composed, addressed Amanda directly. "And that is precisely the problem." Amanda's hands shook as the gravity of her actions set in. The bravado she had clung to moments ago dissolved, leaving her pale and visibly flustered. Justice Naomi Harper's eyes remained fixed on her, sharp and unyielding, as she delivered her words with a calm authority. "You haven't just insulted me," Naomi began, her voice measured but firm. "You violated my personal space, damaged my belongings, and humiliated yourself in front of this entire cabin." Amanda's lips parted, but no sound escaped. Around them, the other passengers watched in silence, their judgment palpable. The air in the cabin was thick with tension as Amanda's gaze dropped to the floor, her hands fumbling nervously. The rest of the flight was eerily quiet. Amanda avoided Naomi entirely, her actions reduced to robotic compliance as she served the other passengers. Naomi, though seated with a torn dress pinned together by safety pins offered by a kind stranger, maintained her composure, an image of grace under pressure. When the plane touched down at Gateway International Airport, Naomi noticed a line of uniformed officers waiting at the gate. The murmurs among the passengers suggested that news of the incident had already reached the authorities, likely fueled by the countless videos passengers had captured during the altercation. As the plane came to a stop, the captain's voice crackled over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated as law enforcement will be boarding the aircraft shortly." Amanda's face drained of color. Two officers stepped into the cabin, their presence commanding silence. "Miss Amanda Price," the lead officer said firmly, "please come with us." Amanda's jaw hung open in shock, but she obeyed, her steps stiff and hesitant as she was escorted off the plane. The once confident flight attendant was now a shadow of her former self, her humiliation laid bare. Moments later, a man in a tailored suit approached Naomi. "Justice Harper," he began, his tone steeped in deference. "I'm the airline's regional manager. I want to offer our deepest apologies for this incident." Naomi looked up at him, her expression calm but resolute. "This isn't about apologies," she replied. "It's about accountability. I expect a full investigation and meaningful reforms to prevent this from happening to anyone else." By the time Naomi reached her hotel, the incident had exploded across national headlines. Clips of Amanda tearing Naomi's dress were trending online under hashtags like #JusticeHarper and #FlyingWhileBlack. Social media buzzed with outrage, calling for change and praising Naomi's composure. The airline quickly issued a public apology, announcing Amanda's suspension pending an investigation. Prominent figures from politics, law, and social justice spoke out in support of Naomi, denouncing the incident as an example of systemic racism and discriminatory behavior. Amanda's personal life unraveled as the media uncovered complaints from other passengers about her past behavior. Under immense public pressure, Amanda released a shaky video apology, but many doubted her sincerity. Naomi, however, remained focused on the broader issue. She issued a statement emphasizing the need for structural reform, not just in airlines, but in all industries where bias and prejudice thrive unchecked. "This isn't just about me," she told reporters. "It's about everyone who has ever faced discrimination. It's about creating a system that guarantees equal treatment for all." Her ordeal ignited a national conversation about racial bias within the airline industry. Within weeks, Naomi partnered with civil rights organizations to advocate for systemic reforms. Airlines began rolling out mandatory diversity and sensitivity training, while new policies were implemented to address passenger complaints with greater transparency and accountability. For Amanda, the fallout was swift and unforgiving. She lost her job and became a cautionary tale, her name synonymous with the consequences of unchecked prejudice. While she struggled to rebuild her reputation, her story served as a stark reminder of the damage caused by discriminatory behavior. Naomi, on the other hand, emerged as a powerful advocate for change. Her dignity and resolve inspired millions, proving that justice extends beyond courtrooms into all areas of life, even 30,000 feet above the ground. As the dust settled from the incident, Justice Naomi Harper became a beacon of dignity and perseverance in the face of humiliation. Her journey from that fateful flight to the forefront of a national conversation on systemic discrimination highlighted the power of turning adversity into advocacy. But her story didn't end with apologies or hashtags. It evolved into a transformative movement for equality. The airline, under immense scrutiny, conducted a comprehensive investigation into its policies and procedures. They released a report admitting significant gaps in employee training, especially around bias and sensitivity. Publicly, they pledged sweeping reforms, beginning with mandatory training for all staff, including upper management. Naomi was invited to speak with airline executives and policymakers, and her input became instrumental in shaping new protocols aimed at eradicating discriminatory practices in air travel. Yet Naomi's response was never about one company. It was about the broader landscape of inequality. Using the platform she had unwittingly gained, she launched a national coalition of legal experts, civil rights leaders, and industry representatives to address systemic bias across service industries. The coalition, aptly named Flight for Fairness, became a force for change, producing guidelines for companies on how to identify and eliminate prejudice within their ranks. Within months, several major corporations outside of aviation adopted the coalition's recommendations, signaling a ripple effect across multiple sectors. The story captivated the public's imagination, sparking town halls, forums, and even a Senate hearing on the issue of racial discrimination in customer service industries. Naomi testified before Congress, her composed yet passionate delivery leaving a lasting impression on lawmakers and citizens alike. "This isn't a fight for better treatment for the privileged," she stated during her testimony. "This is about fair treatment for everyone, no matter their race, gender, or economic status. Justice isn't limited to courtrooms. It should be the foundation of every interaction, whether on the ground or in the skies." Her words were met with a standing ovation, and shortly after, bipartisan legislation was introduced aimed at enforcing anti-discrimination practices within transportation and hospitality industries. The legislation, though still in its early stages, was named the Harper Act, a testament to her profound impact. On the personal front, Naomi continued to demonstrate grace. Despite the countless media requests, she kept her focus on the message rather than the drama. Her statement, "It's not about me, it's about what this represents," became a rallying cry for others who had faced similar injustices but lacked the platform to address them. Meanwhile, Amanda Price's life became a cautionary tale. Despite her public apology, her attempts to rebuild her life were overshadowed by the viral nature of her actions. She became a symbol of the consequences of unchecked prejudice, a reminder of how damaging bias can be when left unexamined. Amanda's story spurred employers nationwide to take a closer look at their hiring and training practices, understanding that such incidents were rarely isolated. As for Naomi, her journey continued to inspire. She was honored at several events for her resilience and leadership, receiving accolades from civil rights organizations and legal associations. But for Naomi, the real victory lay not in awards or headlines. It was in seeing tangible change take root. Policies were shifting, discussions were evolving, and industries were being held accountable in ways they hadn't been before. Her advocacy also extended to younger generations. Naomi began partnering with universities and law schools to mentor aspiring lawyers and activists, ensuring the fight for justice would be carried forward. She often shared her experience, not as a story of victimhood, but as a testament to the power of standing firm in the face of adversity.